This podcast is sponsored by Hempvana, America's #1 hemp pain relief brand. Meet Will Markham. This decorated veteran earned the Silver Star.
When I returned from Afghanistan, I was in such extreme pain. I was drinking more. I was taking more pain pills. But when I started using Hempvana pain relief cream, it was literally like a miracle. I put it on the areas that hurt, my neck, my back, my knees. I didn't want to take pain pills. I know the way pain pills make me feel. With Hempvana, I have mobility. I can exercise. There's no more anxiety. There's no more anger. There's no more pain.
Hempvana is high blood pressure safe and donates to the Patriot Fund. Plus, it's guaranteed to relieve pain or your money back.
Hempvana is an incredible product.
And now get 4 times the hemp seed oil with Hempvana's Platinum Pain Relief Cream. Save up to 20% and get free shipping at hempvana.com. That's hempvana.com for up to 20% off, plus free shipping. Hempvana.com.
You set the gold standard for your business. Your website should do the same. Wix puts you at the helm, so you can enjoy the creative freedom of designing your site just the way you want. Want someone to bounce your ideas off? Talk with AI to create a beautiful site together. Whatever your business, manage it from one place and tie it all together with a personalized domain name. Gear up for success with a brand that says you best. You can do it yourself on Wix.
But just do the best you can with your manuscript and don't worry too much, because a good editor can fix it up for you. What you need to do is write the words that only you can write to the best of your ability, and then the experts can take over and make it even better.
Step into the world of success with your brand amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. Right before we jumped on, I was telling Michele DeFilippo of 1106 Design that I was actually starting to investigate people who could help with books for a project that I'm working on for ICL Academy's founder. And Michele, you have such a rich history in book publishing, so much advice to share with us. So I'm very excited to have you on your Brand Amplified today.
Thank you so much for having me, Annika. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your start, because you worked for traditional publisher, Crown Publishing, at the start of your career. Did you know you wanted to get into publishing? Or was that just something you fell into?
I just fell into it. I went for interviews after getting out of school, and Crown was the first company that offered me a job. So I accepted, and that's how I got into publishing, and I loved it from the very beginning.
Oh, wow. So what were the different roles that you played in those days?
Well, I started at the bottom of the ladder, putting together a catalog of what used to be called remainder books. Back in the day, publishers had to publish large quantities of books in order to get a decent unit price. And sometimes they got stuck with them if they didn't sell. So one of the things Crown was involved in was buying up books from other publishers and selling them on the cheap through a catalog. And that was one way they made money. They were a baby company back then. They were just starting out themselves. We worked in a dumpy office on Park Avenue South in Manhattan. And so there was a little bit of everything going on as they found their way.
Amazing. And what was that career path like for you at Crown? Because you did eventually decide to go out on your own.
Oh, I did. The reason I wound up going out on my own is because my husband and I at the time moved to Phoenix, Arizona. And we learned the hard way that we couldn't make very much money in Phoenix like we were used to doing in New York City. So we just went into business as a typesetting business, which sort of made use of the skills that I had at the time. And that lasted for quite a while, 13 years.
Oh my gosh. Well, and we think about these concepts that a lot of people don't even know existed, or it's not front of mind nowadays, right? For a lot of people to think about actually going to a traditional book publisher, having, of course, I'm in academia, so I do think about books in that regard, but there's still nothing like going to the bookstore and picking up a book and smelling it and having it in your hands.
Absolutely.
But of course, a lot of the methods have changed now. And when you made that transition, we didn't have this virtual world that we live in now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the technology changed. It ended my typesetting business when Steve Jobs invented the Macintosh. All of a sudden, and everyone was able to do what was then called desktop publishing. And so people like me who owned a typesetting business were just eliminated almost overnight. So what I did then was I became a freelancer. I bought a Macintosh like everybody else, and I started doing what was called design and production in those days on a Mac and serving customers as a freelancer. And then around 2001, self-publishing became possible because of Amazon, another technology company. All of a sudden, authors did not have to work with a publisher anymore. They could upload their own books to Amazon's print-on-demand platform, which at the time was called BookSurge, and Amazon would sell it. And that's how self-publishing was born. So that was a huge earthquake in the publishing world.
Sure.
But things have gotten pretty complicated and not always in a good way since then as well.
Yeah, will you talk to us about some of those issues?
Sure. At the beginning of self-publishing, the idea was that the author would be the publisher, and the author would hire a team of experts to produce bookstore quality books and offer them for sale and keep all of the money from sales when the book was sold. That's why it exploded, because it was such an opportunity. Today, we've really got three ways to go about publishing a book. There's still traditional publishing, and they produce great books. They pay all the expenses. They manage the process of doing it for the author, who doesn't have to pay anything. And then on the flip side of that, the publisher keeps most of the revenue from sales and pays the author a tiny royalty when the book is sold, usually about $1 a copy, depending on your contract. So original self-publishing, like I said, meant that the author kept all of the revenue from sales, which was great. That is still possible, but people are forgetting that. And now we have middleman publishers, hybrid publishers, quote unquote independent publishing companies who charge the author to produce the book and also take their revenue from sales. So
Interesting.
it's very confusing for an author. If you've just finished your manuscript, you're looking around, you think you need a publisher, you might wind up with one of the not so good hybrid publishers. There are good hybrid publishers who participate financially with the author in the creation of the book, and then they share the revenues when a book is sold. That's perfectly fair. No criticism there. That's just a partnership, right? But some of these hybrid publishers, they charge the author for everything, and then they also take money out of the author's pocket when a book sells, and that doesn't work out too well for the author.
Yeah. And your business is different. I mean, I was just looking at your website earlier today and seeing that you offer a wide swath of services. But I really appreciated the fact that when I looked on your publishing tab, you talked about this very thing of there are two main self-publishing platforms. And oftentimes these other hybrid, right, or self-publishing agencies, they still have to use those. But like you said, they're charging an extra fee on top of whatever that service would be.
Yeah, well, the question is if the publisher hasn't participated financially in the creation of the book, why are they entitled to any portion of the profits, right? So the alternative is companies like mine. I guess I would call myself an author services company. So that we provide all the services for just as a publisher would, but we do not take a penny of the author's revenue when the book is sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just help them get there.
Yeah, so it's very straightforward.
Yes. And the other difference, too, is we produce quality books just like a traditional publisher would. And some of these middleman publishers today do not. And if you look at their work and you compare it to the books you'll see on a traditional publisher's website, the quality is just not there. So it's a terrible landscape for authors to navigate without any assistance.
What does that mean to publish a quality book? Because I do know there's this whole world of, and I've participated in writing a chapter in a book that was an Amazon bestseller, but that's something that people can throw out and throw around a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean that the book, like you said, has the same breadth and depth that we associate with traditional publishing.
Right. Well, at a traditional publisher and also with providers that do the job the right way, a book has to be carefully edited multiple times before the text is good enough to make its way into a book, right? Then a beautiful cover needs to be designed, and that's not a Fiverr task. It involves a lot of research and a lot of work on the images and beautifully crafted typography and skill to put everything together to make a truly captivating cover. So, that's a quality issue that takes a lot more time and skill and attention than people realize, I think. I once had a lady call me and wanted to know what we would charge for a book cover. And I told her, and she was shocked. And she said, "You can't fool me. I know that you do a cover in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, no, I don't. It takes a lot longer than that. But there is misunderstanding now in the industry about just how much work a good book cover takes. And there's also misunderstanding about how the pages of the book are produced. Now you'll hear that a book should be formatted. Well, formatting is not typesetting. A real publisher will typeset the book, and typesetting is a meticulous process that attends to all sorts of details so that the pages are beautiful and also so that they're easy to read. Because if you don't typeset the text properly and there's all kinds of spacing issues to distract the reader, then the reader is not getting your message. So typesetting has a purpose beyond just the visual. It's reading comprehension. And it's been proven to be effective in terms of reading comprehension.
What's the difference between DIY and doing it yourself? It's the difference between a part-time passion and a full-time business. Wix gives you the power to turn your passion into a moneymaker. With a website that fits your unique vision, let your ideas flow with AI that guides you, but keeps you in the driver's seat. Manage your business from one dashboard and keep it growing with built-in marketing features. It's time to turn your daydream into your dream job. Go to Wix.com.
This podcast is sponsored by Hempvana, America's #1 hemp pain relief brand. Meet Will Markham. This decorated veteran earned the Silver Star.
When I returned from Afghanistan, I was in such extreme pain. I was drinking more. I was taking more pain pills. But when I started using Hempvana pain relief cream, it was literally like a miracle. I put it on the areas that hurt, my neck, my back, my knees. I didn't want to take pain pills. I know the way pain pills make me feel. With Hempvana, I have mobility. I can exercise. There's no more anxiety. There's no more anger. There's no more pain.
Hempvana is high blood pressure safe and donates to the Patriot Fund. Plus, it's guaranteed to relieve pain or your money back.
Hempvana is an incredible product.
And now get 4 times the hemp seed oil with Hempvana's Platinum Pain Relief Cream. Save up to 20% and get free shipping at hempvana.com. That's hempvana.com for up to 20% off, plus free shipping. Hempvana.com.
At Capella University, we believe accessible education can make a difference. That's why we offer scholarship opportunities to all eligible students. Un futuro diferente está más cerca de lo que crees con Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Yeah, these are things I think most people are not considering or don't even know to ask these questions.
That's right. That's right. And why would they? We do our best to educate and write blog posts and a Substack newsletter and all of that, but it's difficult to get the message to everyone who's interested in publishing a book.
Yeah. So what does your work look like today, moving into this area and thinking about all the different steps, whether it's the typesetting, the way that they're publishing, the editing, the artwork, the book cover, and the intentionality behind that?
Oh, it's a big, long process. It takes, again, people don't realize we're going to spend usually 4 months with you, at least, to get the book published. Now, traditional publishers might take 2 years to release a book. We can do that in 4 months. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. It depends on how many changes the author makes and how responsive the author is at every stage. But it's a collaborative, creative process where we both do our best work, at every stage and try to craft a final product that's going to appeal to the marketplace. And that's important to keep in mind. Sometimes that's forgotten too. Sometimes authors will get focused on what they personally like, but everybody has to remember that we're not just pleasing the author. we're aiming to please the marketplace. So that, that needs to be worked into the process too.
Yeah. And there are also companies that say, oh, we're going to get you to bestseller status and work with the SEO and the keywords. What's your opinion on that? And is that something that your organization works, in that space?
I don't promise anybody a bestseller, right? And some of the people that do are not doing it with the best of intentions, let's say.
Okay.
It is possible to trick Amazon's algorithm, although Amazon is starting to get wise to it. And if you get a bunch of people to buy your book within an hour, let's say, then Amazon's computer says, oh, this book is moving like hotcakes. We're going to put a bestseller tag on it. And sometimes that's misused, Yeah. So a true bestseller is rare, even for major publishers. It just doesn't happen very often.
Speaking of that, what does bestseller really mean? And like when somebody does publish a book, what does success look like? And I'm sure there are different variations, but I'd love to hear from your perspective, having been in the industry, what you consider.
A bestseller means that thousands and thousands of copies have sold all across the world at bookstores. And that's a real bestseller, okay? It's not just that you tricked Amazon's computer, right? So now, I think that worked in the beginning, but I think now everybody's wise to the fact that if they've never heard of you and your book and you're claiming to be a best-selling author, that maybe that's not such a good thing. It doesn't reflect well on you.
Yeah. These tools that we have at our disposal, right? I feel like, especially now moving into the world of AI, it's easy to separate what's really created by humans and what's not, and what might be more intentional and what's not.
But I hope we don't forget that human creativity is important and produces a better product than AI.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you work. What is your approach when somebody comes to you and says, oh, I want to explore working with you in your organization?
Well, we get to know a little bit about them and their book, first of all, make sure we're a good fit in that regard. I have turned down a few books, but most of the time, authors have pretty good books. They just need some polishing in order to turn them into a market-ready product. So we will do our best in that regard and craft a good book that we're all proud of at the end of the process. And then, like I said, for the distribution piece, we don't participate. We don't control the book in any way once our work is done. So we help authors upload the book files to their own print-on-demand accounts to feed the retailers, and so that they get the sales reports, they get the bank deposits, they get all the revenue, the net revenue from sales that's possible in the book world, and we don't take a cent of that money. We just help them get there. Sometimes there's some bad stories about publishers out there who, authors can't get their files back from the publisher, even though they might have paid for the work. If they want to part ways with that publisher, they have to start from scratch. There's a lot of mischief going on.
Yeah. And have you ever had somebody go through that experience and then come to you?
Yes, all the time. Every week we get calls from people who either want to move from traditional publishing to self-publishing, or they had a bad experience somewhere and they want to do the job in a better way. They found out about us too late. We also get a lot of calls from people who tried the do-it-yourself approach, and that's really problematic because you have to know what you're doing to hire the right freelancers. You can't just go to a platform and pick somebody.
Right.
You may not get the results you intended.
I think that's a really good point, because it is a world that we live in where you see people promoting, oh, you can get to bestseller status, or here, we'll help publish your book, self-publishing, immediately. And here's some here's some of the revenue that people are making from this. And there are these groups that exist, but I feel like it's probably very few people who actually have that luck or that presence to be able to be their best case studies, but other people buy into the dream.
Well, it is the dream, right? And we all live on hope, right? So I think it comes down to the integrity of the business. You shouldn't deliberately play on people's hopes and dreams. You should be truthful with them and educate them. That's the way I believe anyway. I will always have a conversation with people and say, retail book sales are very difficult to achieve. You'll be much better off if you have another way to sell books directly to the people who are interested in your topic. Don't count on Amazon to do any promotion for you. They won't. You have to pay for it. And even then doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So publishing's a difficult business, and I will be honest with people and tell them that.
Yeah. Well, and have you ever had somebody who thinks that they want to go the self-publishing route, the Amazon route, but then once you start working with them, you realize that what they have is something that could be successful in traditional publishing as well?
No, I can't say I've ever had that experience, but we can always make a book into a better product than the author gave us at the outset. That's one promise I can always make. And sometimes authors are afraid of what an editor will do. They get very nervous about that. But then when they see what a good editor does, they're just thrilled and say, oh, I never would have thought of those things. And same with the design. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you do most of the work yourself? Do you have a big team?
No, I've got a team of 20 helping me.
Wow.
Yeah, we do. Last year we did 150 books.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we've got a good system in place, and we do still believe in the personal customer service. We don't put people on a book assembly line and give everyone the same solution. It's all bespoke and geared to the author's wishes and also to the nature of the book.
Mm-hmm. That's 150, because that was one of my next questions is how many books can you do a year and still make sure that you are infusing each product with your values and your care?
But there's only so many books one person can do. But right. I have a team now. I have several editors and cover designers and interior designers, ebook formatters, and so forth. Wow. And we walk people through the process. Typically, we'll answer 200 or 300 messages during the course of a job, sometimes more than that, 700 or 800. It depends on what's needed. But we've been lucky. We've worked on some really nice books.
Yeah. Are there any stories that you feel like you can share with us about some of your authors and the success that they've had because of working with you and making sure they were doing this correctly?
You know where your business would be without you. Imagine where it could go with more of you. Well, with Wix, you can create a website with more of your vision, your voice, your expertise. Wix gives you the freedom to truly own your brand and do it on your own with full customization and advanced AI tools that help turn your ideas into reality. Grow your business into your online brand. Because without you, your business is just business as usual. Go to Wix.com.
This podcast is sponsored by Hempvana, America's #1 hemp pain relief brand. Meet Will Markham. This decorated veteran earned the Silver Star.
When I returned from Afghanistan, I was in such extreme pain. I was drinking more. I was taking more pain pills. But when I started using Hempvana pain relief cream, it was literally like a miracle. I put it on the areas that hurt, my neck, my back, my knees. I didn't want to take pain pills. I know the way pain pills make me feel. With Hempvana, I have mobility. I can exercise. There's no more anxiety. There's no more anger. There's no more pain.
Hempvana is high blood pressure safe and donates to the Patriot Fund. Plus, it's guaranteed to relieve pain or your money back.
Hempvana is an incredible product.
And now get 4 times the hemp seed oil with Hempvana's Platinum Pain Relief Cream. Save up to 20% and get free shipping at hempvana.com. That's hempvana.com for up to 20% off, plus free shipping. Hempvana.com.
At Capella University, we believe accessible education can make a difference. That's why we offer scholarship opportunities to all eligible students. Un futuro diferente está más cerca de lo que crees con Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Well, I'll tell you the people who have the most success, and that is business people or institutions who are putting out a book that tells their story or helps promote a business or a speaking career or something of that nature, they're the ones who come back time and time again for another book. Sometimes people will write a series and they also come back time and time again. And so, like I said, if you're thinking, and I've had people say this to me, if you're thinking, I'm going to put my book on Amazon and people will find it, no. they won't.
Right.
You have to market the book. You have to be responsible for that. And that can be very tiresome for an author. So I always encourage people to have an alternate path to book sales other than retail.
Okay. And what would some of those paths be?
Just, you can write blogs, you can get out there and do podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Just let people know. Try to find your niche audience because no book is for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes authors will say that to me, everyone will love my book. And it's like, no, everyone won't.
And I'd love to hear your take on AI, because we know some people have said, I can write a book with AI and it'll be an Amazon bestseller immediately. Do you ever have authors come to you where you can tell that it's not just their original content? Maybe they've had some assistance. And what are your feelings about that?
To my knowledge, nobody has shown up with an AI generated book yet. I think AI is great for research and for giving you ideas and things to explore on your own. AI writing seems to be pretty flat, don't you think? I mean, it's not human.
Right.
It's information, but no emotion.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there can be a blend where you're trying to just finesse a paragraph or a phrase or looking for other words or other language, perhaps. But certainly the thought has to come from us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with AI, I think the research, of course, is much easier, right? Yeah. No longer does an author have to travel to Europe and live there for 6 months to write a book about Europe, although I guess you still could. But so just having the world's, I'm excited in a way about AI because it's going to be interesting to see what happens when all of the world's knowledge is at everyone's fingertips, right? Think about that. There's no longer a barrier to learning anything.
Yeah, it's democratized.
It's amazing what that will do.
What else excites you? Because you have been in this industry for, I believe, 50 years. You've seen all of these different transitions. What still excites you and gets you up every day wanting to do this work?
I love the work. And that's what I loved about publishing from the beginning is every day is a new job or many new jobs. And no two authors are alike and no two books are alike. So there's no boredom in our work.
Mm-hmm. And what do you hope to see? Obviously, we just mentioned AI and the research capabilities. But what else do you see coming up with your vast experience? I don't want to say trends, but things that you think are going to happen in the publishing industry in the next few years?
I don't have any idea. No? I don't have a crystal ball. A lot of the changes in the last 20 years have not been good. They've reduced the quality of books, right? Everybody's seen their neighbor's terrible self-published book. And I think that's very sad because a book is a work of art, or should be. It's a work of art from the author's mind, so it should also be a work of art when it's packaged and produced and offered to the public. And in some respects, that's been diminished. And I'm very sad about that. But we're going to go down fighting. We're still going to produce good books for anyone who wants them and leave it at that.
Yeah. And one thing that you mentioned earlier was you had a conversation with a woman about design. And she said, you can do this in 15 minutes. And she was astonished by the cost. So, how much money, I guess, would somebody need to set aside to work with an organization such as yours to make sure that they had quality control throughout the entire process?
Okay, for our typical package, which includes everything from editing through ebook formatting and uploading to your print-on-demand accounts, a 200-page fiction book would be around in the $8,000 range. A 200-page nonfiction book would be about $1,000 more than that. It depends on the complexity of the book and the services that are needed. Some books need a substantive edit. Some just need a simple copy editing pass. So it just depends. And That's why we talk to each author. We don't just have, I have my prices on my website in terms because I want to be transparent, but we never give an author a price, a package price without knowing more about the project.
Yeah. And then do people come to you for a la carte as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have a problem with that. Some people have already worked with their favorite editor and then they come to us for the rest, and that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. That's nice that you have different solutions depending on people's needs. Yeah. And when it comes to your team, are they all in Phoenix or is it a virtual world?
It's a virtual world. So like I said, technology put my typesetting business out of business, but I couldn't exist without technology. Today, my editors and designers are all over the country. I do make sure I keep the work here in the US. I like to do that. And so, yeah, and our customers are all over the world. We just finished a book for a team of coaches in Italy.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So how do people usually find out about you? I mean, you're using podcasting as a marketing tool. What else do you do these days?
We have a Substack newsletter. We have a blog, and you can reach us and learn all about us at 1106design.com. And for anyone who goes there, I offer a free book, my little book called Publish Like the Pros. You can download a PDF for free. And because regardless of whether someone works with us, I want them to be educated and I want them to make an informed choice that's best for them and not get hooked in by the less reputable players in the industry.
Yeah, that is so fabulous. I love that. And I actually do subscribe to your Substack.
Awesome.
And I haven't downloaded the guide yet, but I will definitely be doing that. So what is the biggest mistake that you see when people come and they want to know more about working with you or working with another organization?
Well, sometimes authors buy only on price, and that's when they get into trouble. So the number one objection we will hear is I found someone less expensive. And I understand, I'm a consumer myself. I understand why that you would say that and go for that. But I would wish that people would remember when you're buying services, you can't make the assumption that the lower price is going to get you the same level of service as the higher price, right? The lower price could and usually does mean that they're cutting corners somewhere.
I would argue, based on what I've heard from other people in your industry, that your prices are very reasonable.
I think so. I try to keep them that way. Actually, a literary agent in New York told me the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly since you're keeping your team in North America.
Yes. Yeah. And that's important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to that point, do literary agents sometimes suggest that their authors come work with you?
Yes, I do. That New York agent I was just mentioned sends me some authors from time to time. When he has a good book and he just can't place it with a traditional publisher, then he'll introduce me, and we've done a number of books for him that way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. And what else should we be thinking about? Because everybody has a story. I don't know anybody who doesn't want to write a book of some kind or other. So what's the first thing people should do to get started?
Do your best with the manuscript, right? I mean, some people need help, and if they really need writing help, I can recommend writing coaches and ghostwriters if they want, to get some help in that regard before they come to us. We don't get involved in that end of things, but just do the best you can with your manuscript and don't worry too much, because a good editor can fix it up for you. What you need to do is write the words that only you can write. Mm-hmm. To the best of your ability, and then the experts can take over and make it even better.
Fantastic.
Nobody can be you.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Michele, I also wanted to see, do you have a favorite quote, mantra, verse, poem, family motto, words that continue to inspire you and keep you excited about the work that you're doing?
Yeah, it's not technically related to publishing, but Winston Churchill said, always do the right thing. It will gratify your friends and astound your enemies. So I think that's pretty good life advice in publishing in any other area.
Yeah, I was going to say that that's great for life, but that I can also see how you live those principles with the way that you are intentional about your publishing business and making sure that you're helping people really put their best foot forward?
Well, I went to Catholic school, and the nuns who taught me are dead, but they're still watching.
Amazing. And of course, we'll have the website in the show notes so that everybody can find your Substack, get the download, and also schedule a free consultation with you if they're ready to go on their publishing journey.
Thank you so much. And I do give free consultations, and anybody that needs help, whether you work with us or not, I want you to get on the right path, and I will talk to anybody about anything.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a really refreshing conversation because I feel like you're really trying to add value to people, not just sell a service and not just make promises without having that, again, that word intentionality keeps coming back to me for the work that you do.
Thank you, Annika. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who's watching this episode or listening to it on your favorite platform as well. We'll be back again in a few days with another amazing guest to share their story and their journey and make your life a little bit better. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrangamplified.com.
At Capella University, we believe accessible education can make a difference in people's lives. That's why we offer scholarship opportunities to all eligible students. Whether you're considering a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, our teams will walk you through the process and help you get the savings you're eligible for. Furthering your education is an investment in yourself. Entonces, ¿qué estás esperando? Un futuro diferente está más cerca de lo que crees con Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're grinding out bicep curls or muscling the couch across the living room, crushing morning miles, or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, Smoothie King has fuel to help you maximize your workouts, own your recovery, and elevate your game. Give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs with a lineup of delicious smoothies made to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.